So if you've been living under a rock, Lovable has launched Lovable Cloud, a crazy update that allows you to make advanced apps easier than ever. I've already used many of its features for some client projects and it's top notch, but today we'll focus specifically on how you can implement multiple agent systems into your apps without knowing anything about code or using these no-code automation platforms. So by the end, you'll be able to see the massive difference that this makes, because we'll first start off making a simple app with no AI features. We'll then add one AI assistant to the system, and we'll be able to compare that to an entire AI assistant ecosystem that work together to solve a specific problem. And yes, you can do that even if you're a beginner. But what you should know before we dive in is that my name is Kaiki. I have an AI agency called Blue Horizon AI, where I help business owners understand and implement AI solutions using tools just like Lovable. This YouTube channel is my effort to share all of my learnings to you so that you are up to date and you know exactly what is possible with AI. Now onto the video. So here we are in our Lovable interface. If this is your first time using Lovable, then I highly recommend you try this out. And maybe your first prompt will look exactly like this, super simple, but essentially this is how you're going to learn and progress in your vibe coding and essentially AI journey to make these like crazy apps that you can do nowadays. So a very simple prompt over here. We're just going to chuck that in and see what happens. We are telling Lovable to make the translator app, which will be kind of our learning guide to translate sentences into different languages. I'm telling it specifically to use Lovable Cloud, which is a new update, but not include any AI features. So this is going to be automatic using just code. And yeah, this will take a second, so I'll update you guys once it's ready. All right, so it has just finished, and as you can see, I can authenticate myself. I can sign up as a new user. Nothing you haven't seen before. I do think personally it's really easy to do this with Lovable Cloud and manage it and stuff, but I'm just gonna make an account and then we're gonna go in and try it out. Okay, so this is actually a better view, but as you can see, we can't actually make these real-time translations. I can only store my current translation. So if I say hello, for example, I know that this is hola. I can just simply submit it and then I can somehow save the translation, and that's how I get the points to level up. So although it is gamified in that sense, it's not what we want as well, which is why I've already asked it to add in the second part of it, which is enabled AI. As you can see, I didn't even mention AI here, but Lovable picked it up that AI would be best to use for this case, which is why I can now source the text and say hello, translate with AI. It sends a request to Gemini, which is absolutely free. And then we get the response over here, and then we still have the gamified translation and earn points up there. So then we just got the score over here. Okay, now this is a simple way of showing how AI can boost the use case or the functionality of a very simple app, and already like it's only been a couple of prompts. So how do we expand this? How do we actually make more? Well, this is a full prompt that I have showing different types of LLMs working together to solve the same problem. Or rather, what I'm trying to get at is that every solution creates a new problem. And so you can deliver that solution in a different way. And in this case, since we're using AI, we can add visuals to it, we can add voice features, and that's exactly what I'm going to put into the app. So that the core goal of the app, yes, it is to be able to learn languages, but we can do that in a much enhanced way by creating these, systems that talk together and the AI assistants that work together to deliver that solution. So I'm just going to paste in the prompt that I've already made for this, and then we're going to go over once I send it and Lovable starts working. So pretty much what I'm saying here is I want the new components to be added where we have a voice agent that converts target words or sentences and into natural sounding voices so that we can listen to the audio as well as translating it itself. We have the tutor agent, which is a GPT 4.1 that creates a 5-question micro quiz for the word with multiple choice, fill in the blanks and that sort of stuff. A culture agent, which is a Claude 3.7 sonnet model to explain the cultural, historical, contextual nuances of the word. And then the visual agent, which is Nano Banana, to bring and generate image flashcards that are associated with the information that we've gathered from these prior agents over here. So once we do all of that, we go through this workflow, which is step by step how they should work. And then we combine all the outputs into a mini learning package for specific translation. Now, if you're thinking this is all over the place, these are so many different models, how do I actually package it? And you see that indeed Lovable is starting to ask for all these separate LLMs so we can start tying this up together. Well, that was a real bummer. My camera just stopped filming like halfway through the video, but that's completely fine. What I was saying is that we can just type this into the, Lovable, saying I would like to make all the requests for OpenRouter. What the OpenRouter API is it's one central API that can access all different LLMs. So for this is perfect for us because we have a whole bunch of these like little use cases, and instead of having to worry about these different requests or even worrying about Lovable making a mistake here because they're all different requests, right? We have one API that takes care of everything. And I was just showing you before my camera, made an error there, how to make an API key. So essentially we just go to create keys over here. I just named mine YouTube tutorial. We copy it, we paste it into the box that Lovable asked for us. And just to make sure everything works with the billing and everything, we just have to make sure that we top up credits using our wallet. And within OpenRouter, once we do that, then everything is set up. Now we are in the point that Lovable has just finished creating all the functions for the app. Everything is being directed through OpenRouter, so I'm going to tweak this, make sure that everything is working, and then I'll update you in a second. Okay, so quick little update here. I just found out that OpenRouter doesn't actually support creating audio. We can input audio files in it. So for example, if it wants to evaluate our pronunciation, which is not the feature that I want to add in yet, but essentially I had to add in the OpenAI API key in the end. The way you do that is just, you want to come into the API section of your settings within your OpenAI account, and then you just create a new key, and then just like the same as OpenRouter, you create that key, paste it into Lovable, and then it goes from that. And now that I've finalized that request, I can turn these simple sentences into learning packages, and then it creates simple, steps for each sort of translation or information that I want to get from this sort of sentence in terms of like all related to translation. I can save this to a learning package where everything is packaged up into a little box for me to go and see later when it's saved. So this is an example that I went through here. So if I go to the dashboard, I can go into my packages. So I just did two test ones. One is I'd like to go for a run, and then I want to go to the gym, which is what you just saw me save. And then you can see each step of the process is done by each of the assistants. We have the simple text translation. We have the pronunciation.
Quiero ir al gimnasio.
Which sounds perfect right there. We have the practice quiz. That didn't come through on this sort of end. But then we have the cultural context from the Claude, and then also the image generated by Nano Banana, all within 10 minutes and probably 10-15 minutes and probably about 5 prompts so far, which is absolutely amazing, like how these work together to achieve, again, the same problem tackled from different perspectives through the different AI requests that we have going on, which is really good, really cool. A few months ago, something like this that just took me 10-15 minutes to make was so far out of reach and so difficult to actually accomplish that it's actually amazing me looking back. I can just go and make a few prompts over here, and then just like that, everything is in front of my face, And now the best part, and my personal favorite feature out of all of this, is I can go into Lovable Cloud, and this is something that you can do whether you're just starting out or you actually understand and can code out of things. We have this Lovable Cloud, interface, and it's kind of like a front end for a Supabase sort of thing. It's very intuitive. It's where we can access a whole bunch of data points of the entire app itself. If we go over to Edge functions, we can see the different requests that we make for the different AI features. So here we have the translate function, the culture agent, the tutor agent. If we want to change anything at all about the prompt or the information that we expect back, we don't have to ask Lovable about it. All that we can do, for example, the culture agent, maybe we want to change the output or the information that we get from that agent, and we want it to do like a step or a bit of research before that or something else. All that we need to do is go into the view code, and we know exactly where to find the request for that specific agent. And we can see here the OpenRouter API key, which is the request that we make. And then this here is the prompt where we can tweak. So it says explain the cultural, historical, and contextual nuances for the word. So this is obviously mapping the dynamic data that the users put in. So the word or sentence, and then the target language that they're trying to acquire. And then we can literally just tweak the information that we want to change out of it. So as an output, just by tweaking it and typing it here, instead of having to ask Lovable, we can literally ask it to do all the hard work and the heavy lifting for us. And then when it comes to the easier stuff and the fine tweaking of it, we can just go in and do this ourselves by doing it the way that I just showed you, which I think is awesome. My favorite part of the entire new update. So coming back into the Figma here, we can clearly see the discrepancies between building one simple app that barely solves a problem, having one AI system that solves it very quickly for us, and then having an entire group of assistants that deliver us this packaged solution in a whole bunch of different ways. So pronunciation is clear, and then we have like contextual agents and that sort of stuff. And then the editing feature that I just showed you, where we can go into each of these individual requests and edit, for example, the prompt or the information that we expect out of that LLM, really makes this whole experience really powerful for first-time builders or beginners going to vibe coding, which is why I advise you, and this is exactly what I said in my previous video, which I'll link up here, that the time is now to go into vibe coding because of this update. You know, you see things like this in Replit Agent 3, massive updates that really boost what you can do with these platforms nowadays. So just as I always say, make sure to get on that now. Other than that, I hope this was a practical video for you and it was valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.